Hi, Kira.
Hi, Nancy.
So welcome to another fashion conversation. So to everyone out there, I've been doing these fashion conversations, meeting with different entrepreneurs here in the city of Chicago and beyond too, but mainly in Chicago. And I'd like to introduce you to Kira, and she'll tell you all about her business. It's copywriting, right? Am I correct with that?
Is copywriting. So I am a copywriter. I know I get a lot of questions, not just from people in the industry, but from family, from friends. So I'm glad that I'm on here to be able to tell everybody about what I do officially.
Yeah,
So
go right
my
ahead. Tell
business is,
us.
hmm?
I said, go right ahead. Tell us what you do.
Okay, so my business is Sparkling Copy Agency. And what I do is that I elevate businesses so they are able to do not only like customer outreach, but also so they're able to get the sales that they want in their business and that they can just make their website look better. Because I think that a lot of websites, especially in the age of COVID, like, I mean, before this, but especially now, like a lot of businesses had to do like a sharp pivot. They had to put everything online, but a lot of people are doing it themselves. A lot of people have never made a website before. A lot of people don't know what people are looking at the website whenever people go to them, their customers go to them. And I'm the person that helps them with that. I put the human element back into the copy that you put on your website. I'll make the homepage, the about me page, the product page. I do product descriptions. I do newsletters. I do emails. I help reach out to your customers so they stay interested, and I make sure that you get that sale at the end of the day.
Wow. How long have you been doing this, Kira?
I've actually been freelancing for about 5 years now. I've really honed in on copywriting in the past year and a half. It's something that isn't unfamiliar to me because I've just been writing since I pretty much got out of college, like 10 years ago, like on and off. But like everybody had to pivot, I decided, you know what, let me just dive in and do this because I've been doing it for people anyway for as long as I can remember. So this is the year that I'm just like, you know what, I actually can do this. And I'm proud to say that I have actually worked with solopreneurs, I guess is the term everybody's using.
Solo.
I've worked with mid-sized businesses. I've worked with an award-winning business, which I'm super happy about that. So it's like I'm everywhere, but I'm here for people at the end of the day.
That's excellent. What advice would you give everyone right now if they say, oh, well, I already have a website, but yes, I probably would want more people that are attracted to my website. What's one piece of advice you can give someone that they could spruce up their presence online?
Well, one thing that I do see a lot, and maybe it's not the biggest thing, but it is something that's kind of a nitpicky thing to me. And I tell all of the people that I work with to stunt early and stunt often, because I've seen so many people in businesses that have worked with these or have gotten mentions, I guess I should say. They've gotten mentions from like Vogue or Glamour or Cosmo or like all these big magazine names that people like, you see the logo, you know who it is, and they don't put those mentions on their front page. Like the award-winning company that I worked with, she obviously she's won like 2 awards now. She's an amazing human being, but as soon as you go to her front page, it's like you don't see those logos. And I was like, why is that not the first thing that people are seeing on their website? That just further legitimizes you. And she was like, you know what, you're right. And she immediately did that. So I'd say, like, if you've worked with anybody, even if it's like a small local paper, something like that, put those mentions on your front page because that just further legitimizes people. They'll see that and they'll be like, oh, so this person is like the real deal. So they'll stay, they'll be more interested instead of it just being somebody who isn't in the mix. But if you don't have that, I would say that the other important thing to do is be up on your SEO, which is your search engine optimization. I know that term's been getting thrown around a lot lately. It's very dynamic because Google's algorithm is changing all the time. I constantly have to look that up to make sure that all of my clients are up to date to be able to give like, good advice in that realm. But I would say, like, if you have like an analytics system in place, just go ahead and check and see how people are finding you. See if they're finding you locally. Like if you're in Chicago and you don't have that you're in Chicago somewhere on your website, please do that so Chicago people can find you, or wherever your region is, whoever sees this. So yeah.
Those seem really simple, but I'm thinking back, you're right. Those are things that would attract me to someone when you see, especially being in fashion, when you see magazines, whether it's fashion or beauty, other popular magazines like a Vogue or an Elle or Glamour or any of those, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So
Yeah.
what else do you feel people need out there with your business that might be an extra? You might think of it as, or they might think of it as an extra, but it's something that you could also do in addition to.
An extra.
You said
That's
newsletters.
like what?
Newsletters?
Like newsletters. I know a lot of people that can go either way because I know some people like to put it out a newsletter monthly, or sometimes they'll do it bi-monthly, or sometimes it's as quick as an email. Like they just want to do an email weekly, something like that. But I do both of those things. Like I said, part of it is like keeping your customers interested and keeping that human element there. So that way it's like maybe you want to do something where you're showing off like you're behind the scenes, whatever it's like you're doing in your personal life if you want to get that intimate with people. But just as a way to connect with them, just as a way to see that it's like, yeah, there is a person behind what is going on here. Maybe it's like, some people have a family operation, they want to show off their family. Some people want to show off like a product, like they'll show like the making of a product, and then they'll be like, by the way, we got this coming out like next month, and then there will be like little teasers going into whatever product they have going out next month. It's really just, I think, and I mean, I've been guilty of this myself, and I think a lot of people have, is that once you go from like that sort of buyer mindset to like the business owner mindset, you kind of lose that human element along the way. You know what I mean? Like everything just sort of becomes very clockwork, very, you forget that, you still buy stuff at the end of the day. You're still a consumer at the end of the day too. And I think the important thing is to look at what you're doing and say like, well, when I go to buy something, what is it that I'm looking for? And then translate that accordingly. And, I know that a lot of business owners too, it's like you have to wear so many different hats in the day. If you're doing it by yourself, that is stressful. And I'm always here to take away that stress from people where you're just like, I don't want to do the writing at the end of the day. That's the last thing on my mind, but I know it's important. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I'm here for.
I said newsletters, but I'm thinking blogs too is really something that a lot of solopreneurs, entrepreneurs would want to do, especially in fashion, because sometimes a blog will lead to bigger and better things. Fashion influencers, a lot of them started by just writing a blog and they got noticed by their blogs. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm surprised I didn't mention that sooner. I know that a lot of the things that I do end up being blogs, and you're absolutely right. They're super important because a lot of people, when they do go to buy from businesses, they want that. Like, okay, so my mind went everywhere for that one. But basically, if you think about advertising like way back in the day, it's just like, you would get it through print. TV wasn't as big as it is right now. And now we're in the age of the internet with social media, Facebook, and ads are coming at us from everywhere, like all the time, right? So people are getting a lot smarter about this sort of thing. They really just want like, again, I'm going to keep saying it, but the human element there, and people are doing their research. That's the important thing. That's why, like you're saying, blogs are super important because before somebody actually buys from you, they're going to be doing research on your product. They're going to be getting like those reviews from other people. And if you're able to have all of that on your website, not only does it keep people on your website, like for example, if let's just say, since you're in the fashion industry, like talking about the fashion industry, like you could do a blog like, these are trend, or these are colors that we love for the spring, and then you list like your spring colors and you list some options, and it's like, and if you're looking for spring trends, make sure to click this link so you can go over to this blog that's still on your website. It's just keeping people there, and then as they're reading, they're like, oh, you know what, this is actually legit. This person knows exactly what they're talking about, and it makes them feel, more comfortable because you're knowledgeable, you're giving them the knowledge, and they're more likely to buy from you at the end of the day. And I think I read a statistic that said that as people are doing their research, if you have a blog on your website, they're 67% more likely to buy from you. And that's a
wow,
huge number. Yeah.
Oh, well, I did do that. So, yep, check. Got that.
Yay.
Is there an industry that you tend to work with, or are you all across the board?
I can do all across the board, but I've been tailoring my stuff more towards beauty, lifestyle, and wellness just because those are the things that I'm the most passionate about. Obviously, I love working with Black businesses. I'm a little biased, but I love being able to talk about hair products, Black beauty. It's a huge market that is like slowly getting tapped into now. But I know that, if we look at the beauty industry and we look at when it comes to cosmetics and everything like that, we're the ones that are determining that number. Like I think worldwide, I read something like the beauty industry as a whole is a $4.5 trillion industry.
Yeah.
And most of those are women of color. Most of those like are us, and when you go into a place like Sephora, you go into a place like Ulta, it's getting better, but it's one of those things that it's like you're not seeing as many like Black cosmetic, Black owned skincare companies, like it doesn't, it's not as big of a percentage as opposed to, for everyone else. So it's something that I think that a lot of people should take into consideration when they're thinking about making these cosmetics, making like the beauty brands, like thinking about coming up, like you are needed and I am here for you.
No, that's great. So beauty, lifestyle, and wellness. Those are pretty much the areas that you could pretty much assist in. Okay, that sounds.
Yes.
So, what social media platforms do you suggest for these brands, or do you work with all of them from the LinkedIn to the Twitter to Pinterest? Do you assist with all of that also, or just stick with the website and the blog part of it?
I mostly stick with the website and the blog part of it. I haven't really had anybody ask me to do social media yet. Not because I'm not open to it, but it's just like I know that usually it's a full-time position. And whenever it comes to, blogs and everything like that, that can take up a lot of time too. So
Right.
that's mostly what I'm focusing on. And I do have kind of a hot take that hopefully people don't hate me for, but because I'm constantly doing research and I did think about this as a good point. So it is something to keep in mind, that a lot of these platforms, when you're talking about Facebook, you're talking about Instagram, you're talking about Twitter, they are good marketing tools. And I'm not going to take that away from anybody. But the thing that I want people to keep in mind is that you should spruce up your website as much as you possibly can, because whenever you own your website, you don't own Facebook, you don't own Instagram, and you don't own Twitter. And the thing is that those algorithms can change at any point. And we've seen it happen before where it's just like, some businesses were doing really well on Facebook and then the algorithm changed overnight and they were like, hey, why am I not getting like these views? Why are people not coming to my page? Same thing with YouTube. YouTube had an algorithm for a while that benefited a lot of people, a lot of creators. And then that changed overnight and a lot of people lost like their views and like, it affected their sales and everything like that. And I'm not saying don't use these things. Like I'm not trying to scare anybody away from doing it, but if you can, like try to keep it at your website at the end of the day, because it's like your website is going to be a constant. Your website is yours. You can always improve your website, but sometimes like Facebook isn't going to be there for you. Sometimes Instagram isn't necessarily going to be there for you. Like those algorithms can change and you have no control over that whatsoever, but you do have control over your website.
Okay. You mentioned, I was just thinking, when you talked about you enjoy working with Black businesses. So who would your ideal client be and how would they get in touch with you if they feel that they could utilize your services just by listening to you today?
Yeah. So my website is sparklingcopyagency.com, all one word. That is what I'm using. I have my email on the website, which is my name, Kira, at sparklingcopyagency.com. And ideally, I love working with female entrepreneurs. Please don't, go away if you are a male entrepreneur. I do work with everybody, but I love working with female entrepreneurs just because obviously it's so close to my heart. I love working with mid-sized businesses, solopreneurs, like anybody who's just passionate about, just anybody who's looking to level up in life and you're helping them do that, I want to do that for you because I am so passionate about that at the end of the day. I think there's so much value in that. I feel like that's a constant lifestyle journey. And, I think that a lot of people that have businesses that help people go through their own journey of like leveling up and mindfulness and self-care and everything that makes you feel like the best human being that you can be. I love that. I love businesses like that. And I especially love businesses that are very conscious about just like sustainability in the environment because it has become, it's an issue now with beauty where it's like everybody's looking into clean beauty. They're trying to make sure that it's like the most natural ingredients. And then there are people that'll take it a step forward. Like I know a lot of businesses that I've worked with or have been in contact with, it's like they source their shea butter straight from West Africa and then give part of those proceeds back to the women that are working that, which I think is incredible, So I'm always here for people that are doing the most with what they have.
That's what we all have to do now too.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. And you can work remotely, right? So people don't have to be located just in the Chicagoland area.
Oh, no, not at all. Like, if anything, a lot of the people that I've worked with have surprisingly been in New York. I didn't intend for that to happen, but a lot of people in New York love me, which is great. I've had a couple people in California as well, but the benefit of being in Chicago, if you're seeing this and you want to work with me, is that, if you're comfortable with it and we do it safely, I can always meet you in person just so you can see that I'm not a robot. So
No, we're doing everything. A lot of us are doing everything remotely. So no, that's great. That's great.
right.
So anything else you'd like to tell the listeners out there? I think you've given us quite a bit of information. And I just really think what you do is just so needed. I just went through like a little rehab of my website and
Good.
it up a little bit, but there's always a few things I can always use because just like you said, it's so important. And everyone's going online now. That's the first thing that they see about your business. If you say, yeah, contact me here, and that's your presence, that is your image, that's you right there on paper. So I think,
Right, exactly. It's your storefront and it's so important. And I know that like starting a business, you have to do so much research anyway. So it's like if I can already be the expert on your side to be like, all right, I've got at least this part of it for you, then I'm here for you. I got you.
that's great. Well, if there's not anything else you'd like to tell everyone, I think we'll just kind of wrap up here. Kira at sparklingcopyagency.com, right?
Yeah.
That's everyone can get a hold of her there. And yeah, and I know I'll definitely be in touch with you, Kira, for sure.
Yeah, let me know.
All right. Thanks again. Enjoy the
Thank
rest.
you, Nancy.
Take care. Bye.
You too.